What up? It's your boy T on Reaction. So I haven't come today's Music Monday, by the way. Happened to come across this video on my timeline, my YouTube timeline, about one of the most iconic hip hop producers of our time, Knife Wonder though. So this video is from L Train Lubrication as well too, and this is called How Knife Wonder Reshaped Hip Hop for the Digital Age. If you don't know the story of the story of Knife Wonder with digital hip hop, a lot of, and I got this from direct production and stuff about Knife Wonder itself. Knife Wonder is the reason why one of your favorite production tools is very popular, and that is Fruity Loops. If you may not know, before Fruity Loops became hella expensive and popular, it was actually originally a music tool that came with your Windows, depending on what level of Microsoft Windows you got at the time. And you know, at first folks were looking at it as something they wanted to get rid of, or if you do, you didn't take it seriously because it was free. But Knife Wonder would change the game as he would use this to help produce some songs for Jay-Z. So there's that, and once that happened, the rest was history. So that's the gist of it, though. So we might get a breakdown of this. I'm assuming this is what it's all about. If not, I'm totally wrong. Either way, I'm always like to watch anything involving Knife Wonder. Anyway, let's get it.
Ninth Wonder's story is inseparable from the rise of the internet.
Yep,
At a time when the MPC reigned supreme, he chose a computer with a little-known program called Fruity Loops and began flooding the internet.
And I just literally just realized I just said the original name is, to y'all, is known as FL Studio, by the way,
with his beats. But how does a kid from a small town in North Carolina go on to work with hip-hop's biggest artists while earning enough respect to be invited to teach at America's top universities? To find out, we need to go back to the beginning. Winston-Salem, 1975. A small southern city, far from hip-hop's birthplace, but the place where Patrick Duffett's journey began.
Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's my hometown. From Dewey's Bakery to Mountain Fried Chicken, home of Krispy Kreme, home of Texas Pete, to R.J. Reynolds where my dad worked at for so many years, to the school system where my mom worked at.
At home, he was surrounded by all kinds of sounds.
My mom and dad listened to gospel music.
So he's like another production video as well too, which I'm always cool as well too. I gotta check out more of Nav stuff as well too, by the way. But let's keep going.
And listen to James Cleveland and everything. But my uncle, who was my dad's younger brother, listened to Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing. So I got both sides.
But in the summer of '82, a chance moment at a family gathering introduced him to the music that would end up shaping his life.
My older cousin, Shirley, I was in her wedding back in '82. I was a ring bearer. I was 7 years old, and my dad's youngest brother, his wife came up to me, see if your mama come let you spend the night. So I ended up going over there that same summer, and that was the summer I heard Planet Rock.
That first spark lit something inside him.
Nice.
Through the rest of the '80s, Patrick was still just a fan, but his relationship with music was deepening.
I started playing clarinet. By the time I got to 8th grade, I was playing 7 instruments. The great thing about it was I had a chance to play these instruments and also listen to the golden era of hip hop at the same time.
It gave him a rare balance, formal training on one side and a deep knowledge of hip hop on the other.
As an 8th grader, I'm consuming It Takes a Nation of Millions, Strictly Business, Criminal Minded, Bigger and Deffer.
In North Carolina, most of what you heard at the time still came from New York.
Growing up in the late 80s, North Carolina was connected to New York so much, sound-wise, music-wise. That's what we were listening to. From 1982 all the way up until probably 1992, outside of Two Live Crew, everything we listened to was from New York City.
However, the shift started to happen when 102 Jams launched. North Carolina finally had its own fully fledged
Okay.
hip-hop station. And it was around this time that Ninth attended Project Ensure at Wake Forest University.
Okay.
For 3 weeks. I spent there with 60 other African-American students, my age, my thought process. I finally got a chance to be around a bunch of smart Black kids, and that really changed me.
By the time he finished high school, Ninth had a deep love for hip-hop,
Nice.
but he still hadn't taken the leap into producing. That would come during his time at North Carolina Central University. When Ninth stepped onto the campus of NCCU in '93, he wasn't enrolled for music, he was there as a history major. Through the mid-90s, his path was a little unsettled, switching schools, new responsibilities, even becoming a dad for the first time. But by '98, back at NCCU, he had a chance encounter with a certain Fonte Coleman.
I walk into the dorm and I see this dude holding a Source magazine. This is like '98. So to see somebody with a Source magazine, that shit was like manna from heaven. It's like, oh my God, you know about this too? It was like I had found kind of another Jedi.
Around the same time, Ninth's friend Leroy, who was a little more tech savvy, introduced him to beat making with a computer.
So that's how him and Fonte met. You know, they're them two, along with the third member, is part of the infamous group Little Brother as well too. Though let me make sure I got that correct as well too. So yeah, that's Fonte and Knife Wonder. They along with Big Pooh are part of the infamous, underrated hip hop group Little Brother.
Leroy was an engineer maker, was good with computers. He had his desktop connected to turntables, and he was running sound from the turntables into this computer. This is the first time I saw a waveform, and he was making beats on a computer, and I was like, what?
In a world where most producers were still using samplers and drum machines, this was a revelation. And soon they were digging through bargain bins, grabbing any old record they could flip.
We're in the room basically going up the street from NC State buying quarter records. We didn't know what we were buying. It was an old record, we bought it. So we would take it back and try to sample and make a beat out of it.
For over a year, he kept those beats to himself, but eventually decided to show Fonte what he'd been working on.
He like, yo, man, I got some joints I want to play for you. He puts the tape in and plays it, and I'm like, yo, this shit dope. Who is this? He's like, yo, this is me. He was using a program called B-Box and Cool Edit to make tracks.
And there was one track on the tape that caught Fonte's ear.
One record he had, I said, let me rap over this. And I did a record called Paper Lines, and that was like '99. That was like the first song me and him ever did together.
Melanin serves as proof of my indelible urge to marry ink and manuscripts, create incredible words. I'm a federal felon with verbs, speaking for those who frequently talk but seldom get heard.
Fast forward 2 years to 2001, and a large circle of MCs and producers was taking shape, soon to be known as the Justice League. At the time, Fonte had graduated college and was working his first 9 to 5.
I was working at Blue Cross Blue Shield. That was like my first real job. I just remember like being at work all day and just waiting till like 5 o'clock just so I could get off and just work on music.
Inspired by Fonte's situation, Ninth floated the idea of recording a song about his double lifestyle.
At the time, my man, Rap Lover, Pete Rock's brother, and this rapper by the name of Jock Max had a song called Take a Look. And in the song, Jock Max says,
I play the JBs on them when I hustle with speed.
Because the JBs had an album called Hustle with Speed. And I thought that was like a dope line. So I said, you got to do a song called Speed, and I can sample that part and put it over this Bobby Womack sample that I got. So originally it was supposed to be me and this rapper named Median that was in our crew, the Justice League. But Median was nowhere to be found. And the only person that we can find to get on the track with Fonte was Pooh.
Oh,
so
that's
Pooh
how I got
drove up from
Pooh.
Charlotte to Raleigh and we did the record.
Yo, check it, another database. Share cropping in this paper chase. Take a deep breath and clear my day.
That was the first seed of the group.
And that's definitely that signature hi-hat sound of Knife Wonder, man.
And the moment Ninth had an idea.
We took it to the car to listen to it, and I looked at both of them. I said, man, why don't we just be a group?
They called themselves Little Brother, a nod to their heroes like Tribe and De La. They were the next generation carrying the torch.
I like that, because, you know, New Edition, how they got the name is based off of them being the new addition to the Jacksons. So I like that. They pretty much was like they were like the new addition to Tribe Quest De La Soul, but instead of calling themselves a new addition, they call themselves Little Brother. That's pretty cool right there. I like that.
After recording Speed, the group set their sights on a full-length project. But it wasn't a studio record. It was brought together in dorm rooms and apartments.
Yo, Rel, he was part of Justice League. We started recording in his dorm room in North Hall. We would go up, his roommate would be gone, and we'd just record, and then it went from his dorm room to Cesar Comanche's apartment.
They didn't see it as a limitation at the time, especially when compared to what was coming out of big studios.
We didn't have no studios. I didn't have no beat machine. We heard what we had and what we were doing. It was like, fuck that studio. Now, on top of that, you remember, we heard the stuff that we were making in our studio, and then we also heard the stuff that was coming out of the big studios at that time. Right. And that shit was garbage.
The process was rough, but the sound they found was truly unique, shaped by Ninth's production.
I think the main proponent of all of that is soul. I make soul music. I don't make hip-hop beats. I just make soul music.
At a time when mainstream rap was dominated by glossy hits, their music felt warm, soulful, and nostalgic. A throwback to the boom bap and soul samples of the 90s.
I guess the chopping style comes from Pre, and the soul comes from Pete. You know, the boom bap is everybody from the early 90s, from Diamond D to Tony Dofat, man.
What was most extraordinary, though, was how these beats were made. Not on an MPC or an SB1200, but on a computer, using a piece of software nobody had really taken seriously yet.
I was introduced to Fruity Loops by my man, eccentric Patrick Williams, and my partner in crime, Crisis. And say, you know, you might want to mess with this machine.
In the early 2000s, long before social media, hip-hop fans built their own spaces online. And at the center of that web was OK Player, a forum started by the Roots that had already helped break Jill Scott, Bilal, and Slum Village. Little Brother had already been posting their music there and building a small buzz.
Nice.
So when they heard the Roots were coming to play in North Carolina, they saw a chance.
It's Duke's last day of class. They have concerts called L-Doc, and the Roots was performing, and we knew Quest was coming, so we went to meet Quest. He came up to the fence with signing autographs. Nice. We gave him my CD. Nice. He said, all right, I'm gonna check it out. And finally said, we're Little Brother. He turned around, he was like, oh. Next thing you know, he put on the site okplayer.com. Little Brother, wow. Haven't heard anything this refreshing since Slum Village Fantastic Volume 1. Nice. This is my official Little Brother endorsement.
Nice. And the buzz didn't stop there. That post spread their name across the underground, eventually reaching ABB Records, a respected indie label and home to Dilated Peoples.
Nice. ID from ABB caught wind of it. ID called my crib. That was how we came to sign with them.
In early 2003, the listing finally dropped. Little Brother had turned dorm room recordings into one of the most beloved underground hip-hop albums of its era.
Nice. On stage, filling your spot is the equivalent of 10 adrenaline shots, just like Legacy and Sean Boog when they're killing the rock.
The listing out in 2003, Little Brother had carved their place in the underground. But even as the album spread, Ninth was already experimenting. That same year, he remixed Nas's God's Son, creating what he called God's Stepson.
I did God's Stepson in a weekend. I wasn't remixing it for the world to hear, per se. I was just remixing it because I wanted to hear Nas over something else. I was like, if I have a chance to fix it, I'm gonna fix it. This is the early forms of the internet. We don't know what viral means yet. So it becomes a phenomenon. I wasn't even trying to make it one.
My thoughts were drunken from courts of rage, was years back before I
so it's Nas. I thought Jay-Z. I thought it was Nas. No, he did. I think he did something with Jay-Z, but yeah, I didn't. I think he did something with Jay-Z, but yeah, I did hear about this.
God's Stepson spread like wildfire online, traded on SoulSeek, LimeWire, and message boards. In an era before streaming, word of mouth and file sharing carried Ninth's sound far beyond North Carolina. At the time, Ninth was still hustling, selling beats for next to nothing. But that summer, he landed his first big sale.
I'm selling beats for $50. It didn't turn the corner until I did a record for Master Ace called Good Old Love.
Yo, the world gonna show me some love, listen. And I'm not talking about the fake hugs and kissing. 15.
And he paid me $2,000 for that beat.
Just a few months later, a chance encounter with a video director would earn him the break of a lifetime.
I used to work with an artist out of North Carolina by the name of Spectac. Spectac knew this guy named T. Smith. He came down to North Carolina and he said, man, what do you do? I said, I make beats. We listen to beats all day. He said, man, if I'm ever meet anybody in New York, I'll hit you. In September, he calls me out of the blue. He said, I got picked out of 1,000 people to do video work for Fade to Black, Jay-Z's new movie. I brought your name up to a guy by the name of Young Guru. He put Guru on the phone. I got up there on a Saturday, walked in the room, and Jay was sitting on like the middle console. He said, yo, man, you know, you come highly recommended by Amir. Where's love? That was my shot.
That shot turned into Threat, the track for Jay-Z's Black Album.
It's all right.
He asked Ninth, I got this idea for this Threat shit with the R. Kelly shit.
Oh.
You think you can flip the beat? Knife was like, yo, hold on. Broke out Fruity Loops, and in 20 minutes, he handed me the headphones and was like, yo, what you think about that?
Knife in you. Take a little bit of life from you. Am I frightening you? Shall I continue? I put the gun.
Yeah, great. I remember the story. They said he broke out the laptop, and they think he ain't gonna break out NBC. He brought a laptop. They was shocked that he brought out a laptop. They was like, whoa, what the fuck at first? But then he made the beat, and the rest is history.
A beat made in Fruity Loops, still frowned upon by most of the industry.
Yep.
It just landed on Jay-Z's Farewell album. From there, doors opened quickly. Knight found himself producing for De La Soul, Destiny's Child, and Mary J. Blige, becoming one of the industry's most sought-after names. And through it all, his philosophy stayed exactly the same.
They think it's easy. It's never the machine, it's the man behind the machine. A lot of people have Fruity Loops and didn't know it can do half of the stuff that's done.
That's true.
Right, time for a quick break.
That's probably the other thing why folks was like frowned upon, because they thought it was complicated. I guess I said it before, compared to like analog like NBC and like something like a online, and the NBC's can come out pretty simple, but when you do these is a little complex at time. But once you get used to it, both are like this common knowledge.
Before we move into Ninth's legacy, we know how much Ninth loves sampling soul records. That's what gives his beats that Ninth Wonder feel. At Loop Kitchen, we actually make our own soulful, nostalgic samples. Full compositions you can chop and flip for your beats.
Okay. Ooh. Sounds good.
And right now, all our packs are buy one, get one free if you use the code FruityGang at checkout. And if you just want to try a few first, we've got free packs you can download too. We've also been building a Discord community for producers and beat makers. It's the perfect place to share beats, chat with other producers, get feedback, and to join our beat battles. And the link for all of those is in the description.
I'll check that out. Hold on.
By the mid-2000s, Ninth had cemented his position as a big name producer in the industry. But he had his sights set on bigger goals. He decided to found Jamla Records, building a homegrown label with Crisis and developing artists like Rhapsody.
He was the first one to kind of light that fire in me. He told me I had potential, I was a star, took me under his wings, and in 2008 I signed with him.
At the same time, Ninth carved out a second role, Professor. He lectured at Duke University, taught at North Carolina Central, and even spent a year as a Harvard Fellow.
Teaching a kid history of hip-hop, like I've been doing for so many years, every student that leave my class, especially in the black schools, they say, you know what, this is not a history of hip-hop, this is a history of me.
Today, his fingerprints are everywhere, from the Justice League to Jamla, from Fruity Loops tutorials on YouTube to Grammy-winning albums with Rhapsody. Ninth Wonder proved you didn't need an MPC or a big studio to make hip-hop. It's a fitting legacy. A producer who started as a fan, pioneered beat making on a computer, and ended up redefining what was possible for the next generation.
Okay, all right. So, for starters, I described it already, but you definitely gonna have me check out more of your videos, man. I like to see this. Definitely check out more of these as well too. Oh, he ain't got a lot too. He's also about Clyde Stubberfield, Drum Groove. You know, he's well known, but heavily respected in the sample game. Double, yeah. I might check that one out because I'm low key a fan of the Bomb Squad. I've been that. I might check that out. Definitely might check that one out. What else he got going on? He got a lot. I'm going to check some of these joints out for sure. Yeah. Other than that, shout out to this man. He's dope. This is dope. I'm definitely going to check out that free sample as well too, as well as other sample by Side. But other than that, if you like my reaction to this, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and go subscribe to L Train and Loop Kitchen as well too, though. Other than that, your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.